From the Samsung Production Studios in the heart of Hazleton, Pennsylvania, it's your News 13.
Brought to you by SSPTV and the Standard Speaker.
It's disgraceful and dishonors all the men and women who fought for our nation. The brass behind the thefts of military grave markers, our top story on News 13 for this Friday. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kathy Baczynski. Hundreds of brass markers were stolen from the graves of veterans buried at St. Anne's Cemetery in Foster Township earlier this week. Today, Christina Papa spoke with several war veterans who are saddened and outraged by the disrespectful thefts.
Now and again, Air Force veteran Joseph Bonzik takes walks through St. Anne's Cemetery in Foster Township. Today, he noticed something was out of place.
How it looks, flag sitting down and stuck in the ground, laying on the ground. As a veteran, I think it's deplorable. You know, it's almost like spitting on the flag.
Brass markers just like this one stand by hundreds of graves in honor of fallen war veterans. Earlier this week, over 200 of them went missing.
That approximately 227 grave markers were removed from sites of veterans' graves.
The brass markers cost around $35 each, and that's roughly $8,000 stolen. It's a second-degree misdemeanor to try and sell the markers, but state troopers believe the marker thefts will try to sell them to scrap yards anyway.
Immediately got out to all the scrap yards in reference to what was taken, and to be on the lookout for anybody trying to come in and scrap it or resell it to them.
Korean War vet and trustee for the VFW, Bob Kislin, helps put the flags up in honor of fallen war veterans. He considers the brass markers priceless.
They made a mess out of St. Anne's Cemetery. It's a shame for the people that go over there and fight and come back, and when they get buried, they steal the markers off them.
When the markers were taken, the American flags were stuck back into the ground. Now some of them are just lying scattered in the grass. The VFW says they're at odds of how they're going to find the funds to replace them.
Only brass markers were stolen from St. Anne's. The lighter and cheaper markers are still there today.
This is made out of brass, and this is like an alloy. It's cheaper, and that's what they're putting in now because they can't afford these anymore.
As for Joseph, he says he'll keep a watchful eye on the veterans' markers during his walks to make sure their final resting places get the respect they deserve. Christina Papa, News 13, Foster Township.
Several families are out of their homes tonight after their apartment building was damaged in a smoky blaze this morning. Fire call came in just before 8 o'clock this morning, and crews arrived at the scene on Bennett Court in Hazleton within minutes. Families and young children were still in their pajamas, and they filed out of the complex safely. One woman who is pregnant was helped out of the building by first responders. She wasn't injured. Most of the damage to the building was from the heavy smoke. Hazleton Fire Department believes the blaze may have started in one of the first-floor kitchens. Investigators are still trying to pinpoint the exact cause of the fire. The American Red Cross was called in to help the 12 people who were displaced in this morning's blaze. But we're just weeks away from the start of a new school year, and students in one local district will be greeted by a new assistant principal. Hazleton Area School District Board held a special meeting Thursday night to take care of some housekeeping items before the start of the new term. The board appointed Jason Legawi as the assistant principal at the Drums Elementary Middle School. Legawi has been teaching as a full-time fifth grade teacher with the Pleasant Valley School District, and he earned his principal certificate. He is originally from the Hazleton area, and he's excited to be able to work with the same school district that he attended.
There's a lot of good people here.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to working with Dr. Antonelli and Mr. Butler, and focusing on the students of Hazleton.
Legawi can't wait for the school year to officially start so he can get down to business and start working with the kids. Well, speaking of jobs, there are some signs the economy is recovering in our area. Employment in Schuylkill County is ticking up. But there is a catch to this good news. Matthew Petrillo joins us live in the studio to explain. Matthew?
Well, Kathy, that's right. Schuylkill County is on a roll with job gains. In fact, it just posted its 5th consecutive over-the-month increase. But also increasing in Schuylkill, the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate in Schuylkill County slightly increased over the last month. It now stands at 9%. Meanwhile, non-farm jobs here also increased by 2.5%. So how are there more jobs and a higher unemployment rate? Robert Carl Jr. of the Schuylkill Chamber of Commerce says it's because of today's fickle economy.
The job market is obviously very dynamic as new businesses come and some businesses unfortunately depart. the number of jobs can swing.
Another reason, he says, Schuylkill County has plenty of job opportunities, but some people lack job readiness skills, like learning how to be presentable in interviews. Specifically, he says, first impressions are always important, whether someone is applying to be an executive at a bank or a cashier at a food chain. That rings true to Diane Franco, who's been hiring workers at the Pottsville Dunkin' Donuts for more than 8 years. She says applicants who walk in wearing ripped jeans or pajama pants show they don't really want the job.
If you really want a job, you want to come in, you want to show that you're interested, you want to look the professional, you want to look the part. I mean, if you come in pajama pants, it's like, how are you going to come to work if we decide to hire you?
Because ultimately, she says, a business depends on its associates. Diamond Deb Whitmer knows that. She says Murphy Jewelers is celebrating its centennial this year, largely because it cultivates a culture of hard work among its staff.
We're willing to train, but the thing is the good people skills. That's the most important.
Now, the best advice all three had to share when applying for jobs, look the part for the job you want, which, Kathy, is not necessarily the job you're applying for.
Exactly. You got to look for the job you want. That's age-old advice, and it's good to see that the economy's starting to tick up a little bit in Schuylkill County. Thanks a lot, Matthew.
You're welcome.
And still ahead on News 13, will the rain ever end? Well, sunshine is in sight. We'll tell you when in News 13 weather. But first, a little wet weather couldn't keep some local kids from sinking some foul shots like the pros. We'll shoot some hoops in McAdoo when News 13 continues. Despite the storms that rolled through last evening, folks still came out to support a scholarship fund in memory of a young doctor whose story touched our entire region. Dementis and drums held a party on the patio to raise funds for the Dr. Jennifer Sidari Scholarship at the Commonwealth Medical College. Jennifer unexpectedly passed away back in May, just a few days after graduating from the medical college. Loved ones say she was known for her big heart and for always thinking about other people before herself. Jennifer's family hopes to raise enough money to provide a future medical student a full ride to college so that they have the same opportunity that Jennifer did.
This scholarship fund is going to benefit, we hope, local communities, because what we're hoping, the recipients, because they won't have a heavy debt when they get out of medical school, can go back to whatever local community they came from and practice there with the same kind of zeal and selfless dedication that Jenny had.
And there's also a golf tournament coming up on October 11th at Blue Ridge Golf Course to benefit the Dr. Jennifer Sidari Scholarship. Well, from Dorrance to McAdoo, where the wet weather last night held off just long enough for some kids to get in a couple of rounds of shooting some hoops. McAdoo Borough and Klein Township sponsored a basketball shooting contest at the Veterans Memorial Park on Thursday evening. The contest was open to all kids aged 6 to 12 who were invited to come out and show off their shooting skills and just have some fun. The kids were split up into 2 different age groups, 6 to 8, then 9 to 12. The top 3 players in both those groups received trophies, but to the kids, it didn't matter if they won or lost. They were just happy to have a great time with friends.
Well, I like trying to make it, and it's just fun. Playing basketball, shooting hoops, and having fun. Because I like shooting basketballs in the hoop.
And there were free drinks and ice pops for the players to enjoy while they were shooting those hoops. All the shooting stars hope that the borough and the township will hold more great events like this one. And time now for our regional weather from the National Weather Service. Checking the radar. Plenty of showers and storms rolling through the entire region. We're going to see that right through this evening, but the storms will dissipate after about 9 o'clock tonight. Creative condition is hopefully pretty close to what it will be like for the weekend. It's by Waldo Cow, a student at Hazelton Elementary Middle School, and Waldo drew his house under sunny skies with plenty of birds flying by. Now let's take a look at News 13 weather from the National Weather Service for Greater Hazelton for tonight. Showers and thunderstorms likely into the evening with a low around 61 degrees. And for Saturday, partly sunny with a high near 77. It'll be cloudy at night with a low down to 57. And heading to Schuylkill County tonight, a chance of showers and thunderstorms, then becoming partly cloudy with a low around 62 degrees. And for Saturday, mostly sunny with a high about 80, cloudy at night with a low around 59. Well, Saturday is the big day. It's the 20th anniversary of Pottsville's car cruise. It starts bright and early, 9 a.m., and we'll have a handful of stops along the way. Matthew Petrillo checked in at one of those stops today.
The Great Pottsville Cruise is going to feature hundreds of cars. And it all starts here at Jerry's Classic Cars and Collectibles. It's always a popular spot here.
We're going to have a DJ, we're going to have, radio here, we're going to have the vendors, the hot dog trailer, and tours of the museum. So you want to stop in, you want to meet Dennis Gage, tour of the museum. We're going to have special tour rates tomorrow. It's all happening here at 394 South Center Street.
But Jerry is most proud that he's been able to run the cruise for 2 decades using only volunteers.
To have the dedication of your volunteers, the dedication of the cruise committee, the Lions Club, you can't do it without volunteers. And the Pottsville Lions Club has really stepped up the past 13 years to really support me, and I've been proud to be the chairman and honored to run it that long.
And the museum here really stands out.
You put the 50s, 60s rock and roll in here. The time period I grew up, we got a really nice selection of cars. We got a 58 DeSoto here, 58 Chevy. We got a Cadillac, a Studebaker, 64 Plymouth back here with a 426. But the other thing about our museum that people really love, it's for everybody, mom, dad, kids. There's 20,000 items in here of interest, 20,000. So you can spend hours looking around and saying, hey, I remember that dress, I remember that hat, I remember the drive-in theater. We have a drive-in theater upstairs. We have a snack bar, a soda fountain. There's a millinery, a barber shop. There's a total parts store dating back to 1950. So there's a lot to see, a lot to do. Bring the camera and enjoy your day here in Pottsville at the Great Pottsville Cruise.
Now, all these cars are really cool, but what's really fascinating is the history behind it all. This gas pump is from the 1950s, and it was built when gas was real cheap. You could pump your whole car with just using 3 digits. Now, it wasn't until the 1970s when that became a problem. But if you want to learn more, you really owe it to yourself to come down to the Pottsville Cruise. It's happening all day Saturday, and of course, News 13 will be there. Matthew Petrillo, News 13, Pottsville.
Going to be a great time. And we've got some important information for everybody who's bought tickets or is planning to go to the Taking Action Wrestling event to benefit Helping Hands set for tomorrow night. Location of that benefit put on by Pennsylvania Premier Wrestling has been changed. It was supposed to be at the Terrace Plaza in Hazleton, but it's been moved to the Strand in McAdoo. Still begins tomorrow night at 7:30, but all the SmackDown action will be taking place at the Strand in McAdoo instead. And let's check the winning lottery numbers for the midday. Good luck if you played. The daily, 958. Big 4, 0983. Quinto, 86507. And the treasure hunt, 6, 11, 20, 22, 30. Hope you won.
Good evening, everyone, and here's tonight's Talk of the Town report. First tonight, the Shenandoah Community Watch will be holding their 2013 Kids Fun Day August 10th at Bicentennial Park. It's a family-friendly event, and all are welcome to attend. The SCW meets the 3rd Wednesday of the month in the Borough Hall. Another announcement for this evening, the Twin County Lions will be holding a chicken barbecue Sunday, August 11th at the CYC in West End. They'll be serving from 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. or they're sold out. And finally, the Greater Shenandoah Area Chamber of Commerce will be holding a town-wide yard sale September 21st. The event will be held at the lot adjacent to the Shenandoah Senior Community Living Center, and tables are available for only $5. Proceeds benefit the Chamber's Christmas Lighting Fund. That's tonight's Talk of the Town. News 13 would like to send sincere condolences to the family and friends of Lillian Missoula Barron, formerly of Claire's. Services were held in Baltimore, Maryland. Tonight's obituaries have been brought to you by the Smilax Floral Shop located on 15th Street in Hazleton. For delivery to all local funeral homes, call 570-454-0111. And by Doves of White, serving Schuylkill and surrounding counties. Call 570-205-1597.
SSPTV Sports on News 13 with Fred Barmiller Jr. and Ron Marchetti.
Well, Russ Kanzler wasn't out in the left field last night, or right field, or for that matter, one of the corner infield positions. Settled in as the DH. Again, a position he's very comfortable with. We were wondering, well, now that he's settled into the outfield and DH role, would it pick up the pace? So far, so good. Again, last night, Kanzler went yard. A big home run that actually tied the game for the Indianapolis club. They would win in extra innings. Kanzler would be 1 for 3 with the homer and a walk, and his Indianapolis Indians team get the win over Toledo. That's back-to-back good games for Kanzler, so hopefully he's crawling out of his slump. And so, too, Indianapolis, who had hit the skids a little bit, we'll wait and see. That was game one of a weekend set. They'll play the Mud Hens all weekend long out there in Indianapolis. Now, while Major League Baseball is getting ready, even though it's not a marquee game, all eyes are going to be focused on the Bronx tonight. That's because back to Yankee Stadium comes Alex Rodriguez. And the way sports is today, the major story here is what kind of reception is A-Rod going to get from the home crowd. I guarantee you it won't be pleasant, at least his first time up. Maybe if he gets a base knock, they'll ease up. But if not, they're going to be brutal on him. He deserves it. What could I tell you? Anyhow, the Phillies in Washington, maybe if you looked at this early in the year, you said, hey, could be a key series. And turned out that way. Both teams under 500. The Phils worse than the Nationals. Actually, if you take a look at the standings this morning, the New York Mets have inched ahead of the Phils in the standings. Certainly never a good thing. Tampa Bay, dead even in the loss column with the Red Sox. They're playing a little interleague out at Dodger Stadium this weekend. The Mets are at Arizona, and the red-hot Pittsburgh Pirates, they're out in Colorado to take on the Rockies. The Pirates are sporting the second-best record in all of baseball, and that's just wonderful when you look at it, considering where we are in the season. If baseball's not your thing and you can't wait for football, well, you could start putting your toes in the water and check out what the temperature is like. The Jets are in Detroit tonight for their opening preseason game, and the Philadelphia Eagles will entertain the New England Patriots. That'll be down in South Philly. Tomorrow, the New York Football Giants and the Pittsburgh Steelers will meet out in the Steel City. I'm not a big fan of preseason football, but just nice to get a kind of whet your appetite thing, knowing that we're not that far away if they're starting to play the preseason games. And of course, with baseball going on, football starting up, NASCAR right in midseason form. The week after Pocono, well, they always head up north of the border, up into the New York State area. They'll be a little north of Corning, and that's Watkins Glen, the legendary track. It's the Cheez-Its 355. That's always one of the great stops on the NASCAR circuit. So we'll see what happens this weekend up at Watkins Glen. Tonight's sports is brought to you by Mountain Speedway. Here's a look at this weekend's action. It's going to be busy. The racing will begin at 6, so plenty of action this Saturday. Just $10 for grandstand admission. Kids under 10 are free, and if you're active military or a senior, you get a $2 discount. There's the website and the phone numbers. You could call them and get all the information on the excitement of racing down at Mountain Speedway.
An exciting weekend is about to begin. Hi, everybody, on this August 9th, Friday. This is Short Shots, and it is an exciting weekend. Certainly busy. The PGA Championship Golf Tournament is going on right now and will be all weekend. The MPB Parish Picnic is being held at 4th Street between Carson and Cybert. The Trot and Brew will be run tomorrow in the Heights. On Sunday, it's Media Day and Pitcher Night at Harmon Geist Memorial Field. Meet the Cougars starting around 5 p.m. Also on Sunday, the 2013 Luzerne County Sports Hall of Fame induction banquet will be held at the Ramada Inn Public Square in Wilkes-Barre, where 2 former local athletes will be inducted. Larry Kazaznak of West Hazelton Wildcat fame and Lorraine Sharp, outstanding tennis player out of Freeland High, both who went on to fabulous careers in college. Plus, that's what's going on this weekend. But let's review what happened this past week. On Sunday, Casey Kane won the Bowling.com 400 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race at Pocono. For the 8th time, Tiger Woods won the Bridgestone Invitational easily at Akron, Ohio by 7 strokes. The Atlanta Braves are on a 13-game win streak, playing like a speeding locomotive, completely out of control. The Braves are 70-45, 15.5 games ahead of second-place Washington, the team that wouldn't allow Strasburg to pitch in the playoffs last season, saying that he would have plenty of time to pitch in postseason games. Well, it won't be this year. And on the other hand, the Chicago White Sox ended a 10-game losing streak by beating the Yankees back to back to back. Mother of God, the Yankees are now 1 game over 500. I'm still a Yankee fan, so I don't enjoy saying this, but the fact is they stink. And so does Alex Rodriguez, who received a 211-game suspension, along with 12 other players who accepted 50-game suspensions. But not A-Rod. He appealed so he could play out the rest of the season like nothing happened, because it will take months for this appeal to be ruled on. In 3 games this week, A-Rod had 3 hits and 12 at-bats, all singles, but he is still looking to score or knock in his first run of the season. He led his team to 0-3 in Chicago and looks to be booed lustily in Yankee Stadium tonight, and they're playing the Tigers, who won 12 straight. What else? Dick Kazmaier, the last Ivy Leaguer to win the Heisman Trophy, died at the age of 82. He won it in 1951 by a landslide. In his final 2 college seasons, the Princeton Tigers were 18-0. His number 42 has been retired at Princeton. Also, Arizona State's all-time leading rusher and Hall of Famer Whizzer White, who played in the late 40s, died at age 84. And finally, Artie Donovan, famous defensive lineman, lovable guy from the Baltimore Colts, NFL championship teams in 1958 and 1959, died at the age of 88. Art Donovan was also known for his Miller Lite TV beer commercials. Have a good one, and this time I will be here on Monday. Till then, be a good sport and stay loose.
And here's what our media partner, the Standard Speaker, is working on for tomorrow's edition. The primary results for Hazleton Area School Board have finally been made official. You can read all about it in the Saturday edition of the Standard Speaker. Plenty more news and information headed your way on News 13. Unemployment's still high, but new jobs got a little bump in one local county last month. That story and much more news when the 13 crew comes right back.